It's not your identity. It's more of, it's what you're doing almost to be okay.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah! You can have if you place your identity in being a father, when your kid all of a sudden doesn't act right, goes off the rails, you're then, oh, what am I doing? And you almost lose your composure. And now you're not going to be able to be that strong beacon father for the kid that's off the rails. You know who you have your identity, let's just say like I do in Christ or in your faith or whatever you have. And you just happen to be a father. When things go wrong, you can keep more level-headed.
You can go back to your faith.
You can go back to your faith. You can go back to what you're really grounded into and say, no, okay, this isn't the outcome that I want. How can I fix it? How can I go back to it instead of it being so emotionally like taxing to you?
I love what you just said there. And faith we talk about quite often on here as well. What you're saying is your identity can become what it is you are on this rock. And in addition to, you are a father, you are a mother, you are a brother, a sister, you are a bodybuilder, you are a chef, like all those other things is part of the reality that you've constructed around the actual identity of who you are. And that's a hard concept for people to grasp. It's so strange to me why so many people veer away from a conversation about faith because they're like, oh, there he goes again. But it's like so many people that we put on a pedestal of visible popularity or celebrityism or success, they all say the same thing about their own individual faith or their own individual way of looking at God. Were you always on that path or was that something that came on later?
Yeah. So I was raised in the church.
Okay.
But I happened to have a father that was very controlling. We would almost say something along like, it's the Bible according to Wendell, my dad. I had that dad and I almost related Christianity to him. And my mom and him got divorced at 17. And I kind of took that left turn. I always knew that, like, because I read the Bible, I knew it to be true. I couldn't find anything wrong with it. It's just, I didn't want it to be true. I wanted to do my own way type of thing. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to still do the drugs and the drinking and hanging out with the women and all this other type of stuff. And somehow, I figure out how I could do that and still be good per se, even though I knew I really couldn't. So I actually went on this huge bender right around after college or so of trying to disprove God. It took about 3.5 years of self-help, psychology, and everything just kept coming back. And I just was like, this is just a cheap knockoff of what the Bible says. This is just a man-made viewpoint of what the Bible has already said, written X amount of thousands of years ago. And I called my dad up and I was like, Dad, I realized something. He's like, I'm in tears. And I'm like, I have to call it God because I know it's God. I have been called. And the Bible says that he calls out to us. I just knew of that. Even though I made that discovery, I still was just all in head knowledge. It's a whole different thing to make him the actual Lord of your life, to actually submit to him. And I didn't do that. Even though I had the head knowledge, I didn't do that and was still trying to navigate it my own way. I'll take those parts, but not those parts. And I did that for quite a while. And I ended up getting married, had a child. Through that experience, within almost the first year, she was ready with another man. I found out within the second year and she's like, hey, I've been dating this guy for 9 months. She ended up leaving. And that's the first time I was like, you know what? I've lost everything because I had my identity in my family. I had my identity as the husband. I wanted to do that perfectly. I didn't want to be divorced or any of that type of stuff. And that was what I wanted so badly. So I turned to God for the first time. And when I was in the lowest, I felt like I had the most peace that I've ever had.
I'm going to parallel it. I grew up in a house of Jewish faith.
Okay.
Okay. And the way you describe your father, my father was very similar.
Yeah.
And I went through all of the things that a Jewish boy is supposed to go through. I've said this before. My parents built our congregation with a few other couples. My father and the rabbi went to high school together. So we were the David boys. And that was a lot that you had to live up to as a child, right? Like everything you did in temple was looked at, and the way you acted, the way you spoke, like it was a magnifying glass above us. And I was, again, I understood it, right? Like I listened, and I always knew back then, because of the way my parents held themselves, that eventually I would probably come back into the loop. But I was over here in grade 8 doing drugs, you know, and then everything that, you know, then comes, and the rebellious third child. Like I ran away from it when I left home at 19. I only came to temple on high holidays if I came to visit my family. I was at a low point. I tell this story quite often. A couple of years ago, you know, a lot of shit was going wrong in my life. And I went to a friend for a talk, and he had told me, like, and he's of Christian faith, and he had said to me, like, you know, I could help you out, but that would just be like a crutch for you. That wouldn't really do anything for you. So instead of me doing this for you, I want you to go and pray to God. And I'd never done it before, or I hadn't in a long fucking time. And he said, listen, it doesn't matter what you need in your life. Just go ask him every morning and every night for 7 days, and let's talk in a week. And I tell the story time and time again on here. I shit you not, before the 7 days were up, all 3 things I was looking for were in my possession. And since then, again, it's weird how each one of us in our own journey, we almost have to get pushed to that point of, where the fuck else can I go right now? And when, like you said, you have to let go and really lean into it. And since I have, my life over the past 2 years have completely drastically changed, from the aspect of, I'm aware that I can ask him for anything. He wants the opportunity to show his godliness. So whatever you ask for, it's okay to ask for it. And don't ask for simple things. Ask for the big things, so he can show his ability, and just have that undoubtable faith in yourself and whatever the faith is that you believe in. Because that's an important thing I try to express to people. It doesn't matter what you call it, how you act towards it, just have it. Just have that faith. And it's amazing what it will do to you. And as I got older in life, you know, my father was, me and him just, not good living together. But in time, as we mature as individuals and find our own path, you're able to go back and have that conversation, and that relationship completely switches, which, you know, he's been passed since 2017. And then I talk to him regularly still. Like, he's still in my life. I thank God that he's beside him every day looking over me. It's just interesting how that parallels, again, like another thing that's very much in common here. Sorry to hear about your past.
Yeah, that happened. And it actually happened 6 other times while we were married. I didn't know of 2 until she just kind of told me, like, to get it off her chest type of thing. But that even being said, I could sit here and be like, oh, that's so bad and all that stuff. But like, I wasn't doing what I needed to be doing either. I wasn't doing bad. I wasn't, you know, but like, put it this way. If your wife sees somebody that's top 1% and you're acting at the 80%, you know, at the 20% level, like the top 20% level, she's going to be frustrated. And that's almost what kind of was happening, is like, she saw so much of me. I knew I had so much of me, but I was just like, meh. Kind of like how I was in school type of thing, you know? And like, I wasn't being the leader of the family. I didn't have my own identity of like, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. End of story. You're either with me or you're not. It's more of, oh, I shouldn't like this. Okay, I don't like it. And it was like, I'm her husband. I wasn't me. You know, didn't have the friends set that I should have had, that the strong friends that I do now that are around me. There's things that I wasn't doing that a manly man should be doing. So, you know, so like, it's, even though whatever, that's dropping the ball, she dropped the ball, whatever, I don't point fingers anymore, because everything happens for a reason.
100%.
And I'm so much stronger for it now. You know, we have a great relationship, all that type of stuff. But through that, maybe I wouldn't have even gotten to the place with my relationship with the Lord if it wasn't for that. So these are all, I don't live in that past. Do I wish that any divorce with a kid on anybody? No. It's painful to see it, my daughter, every so often, because I do have a good relationship, be like, oh, I just wish you and mommy were together type of thing. You know, like it is rough to have that 50% of time. I couldn't imagine somebody, because there's so many men out there that only get to see their kids 20% of the time, 5% of the time, 1% of the time. I couldn't do that. 50% is already like too little for me.
I've never been married. I don't have kids
Yeah.
that I know about. And it's interesting to me because, again, multiple guests on the show, multiple people that have sat in that chair that are men, discuss all
Yeah.
these sort of situations, whether it's good or bad. But look, with the kid, it's like undoubtable love. It's like, oh, I want to be around them all the time. They changed my life. The fact that you take accountability of the situation, not pointing blame, and definitely not living in the past, because there's no point of us doing that. The parallel again is I was in a relationship on and off again for 3 years, and a lot of her friends, all of her friends, would continuously come to me and say, why are you still with her? After the fact now, many years, I can look back and I can take accountability that the reason why the relationship was the way it was is because I wasn't the man that I was supposed to be. I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to do tonight? Oh, no, I don't want to do that. "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem." Like, it was just nonsense. It's like, no, instead of saying, you know what, babe, I want to stay in tonight. I just want to hang out with you. Let's get some food and let's watch.
Yeah.
No, it was whatever she wanted to do. I literally lost my own identity and became an individual that she couldn't respect.
Yeah.
So therefore, like, who's to blame? Like, no, I got to take some of that on my shoulders as well. And I don't regret it because it taught me so many lessons that I look back to remember what I can learn. I don't live back there. Part of my day, as everyone out there in Life Choices land knows, is gratitude, prayers, and my chief aim. And I give gratitude for all that has happened to me, but I give most gratitude for being able to understand the importance of being present. Because being present allows me to witness the blessings he bestows upon me in the time in which he bestows them upon me. But more importantly, it allows me to not worry about tomorrow nor stress about, it allows me not to worry about yesterday nor stress about tomorrow because I have no control over those things. And when I meet other people that understand that aspect of life and they're clearly living that, the ability to be happy, the ability to smile, the ability to be there to help others, whether it's to listen or talk, is so much easier for us because we understand the importance of this moment right now.
Yes, definitely agree. And having no hidden agenda because of tomorrow or any of that type of stuff, because then you get into manipulation and, and then you're putting standards on other people and outcomes that shouldn't even be there because you're trying to manipulate it so much,
Expectations of others is pointless.
Exactly.
Expect people to not be what you think they are, because we usually expect people to have the same ideology or same actions as we do, but they're not us. They're not at the same point. They might be further or not yet there as to where we are in our path. I've learned that the hard way because I used to give a lot of unsolicited advice. And then I realized, okay, stop doing that, Brad. Become a little quieter, listen more, speak less. And I literally just said this today with the girl at the desk at the gym I go to. I said, it's odd how, like, when I'm amongst my friends, I tend to be a little quieter when there's a group of us. But when I do the podcast, that's the platform I get to speak my mind. And that gives the people out there the choice to listen to the advice or not to.
Agreed. Because I was that same person, but what I kind of realized after, because I know a lot about a lot. I'm just saying, like, I know a lot of different details because, like, I just constantly am asking why to everything. My business, why to fitness, but like, I need to know why. I need
Pause
to know.
on that.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I found out after you got here, because I knew nothing about you just besides Alex said, this guy would be good for your show. You show up, you let me know you have a podcast. Dude, it's the exact same fucking thing. Like, I don't have my hat on today, but I literally wear my stuff every fucking day.
Everywhere.
The biggest promoter for my company until it really takes off.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I got a box of shirts and hats in my bed as well. I saw yours.
Oh, everything. Oh, 100%.
Get them to other people. Exactly. But like, I realized that when I was around like my ex's friends or anybody, I would then be striking a conversation, and whether it be about investing or real estate or politics, I knew stuff about it. And I would start all of a sudden saying something or like asking them questions that are really in depth. And it's almost like I'm making them feel stupid, because I'm like, no, I'm just trying to be keep the conversation going. I'm trying to act interested, or I'll give advice to people about when they ask something hypothetically or whatever it is. And I end up getting this reputation of a one-upper, even though I wasn't trying to.
Yeah.
But what I came to realize after I did a lot of the work that I've done, even like you have my podcast and I'm able to talk a lot more and now I'm a lot silent and all that, I realized because I wasn't doing all that I was called to do, because I wasn't acting in my own identity, I always needed to be okay. The same reason I was competing, to be okay, to get that outside validation. And I was giving this advice, even though it was under the guise of me caring or trying to have these conversations with people because I'm trying to connect. But what I ended up realizing is that I was trying to make it be known that I am smart, so then I'm okay. It's like, okay, you're not doing what you need to do, but you know what you're talking about. So I'm giving this advice almost like just to know that I'm okay, just to prove to myself that I am what I am, type of thing.
But were you following it up with the actions
I
in which you
wasn't.
were
No,
okay?
that's why I was giving that advice. Even though I knew so much, I wasn't acting on it. I didn't have that identity. I didn't have anything. I was that same person with my ex, just kind of like, oh, okay, I'll be over here, like we were talking about. And because of that, I had to just keep proving myself, okay, I am that smart. It's not because I want to help you. It's because I want to know that I can help you.
Mm,
Total difference.
absolutely.
And that doesn't get received.
It doesn't. And man, I'm fucking loving this conversation, dude. Alex, seriously, dude. Thank you so much. This is brilliant. So I live my life. I try very, very hard. And even more so in the past couple months to really live my life through the actions
Mhm.
in the practices that I tell people you need to do to get to this point in your life. And I notice that the more I step away from giving that unsolicited advice and the more I visibly do the actions in which I say are needed,
Yeah.
I notice more, very little bit here and there. It slowly starts happening that those around me start coming around.
Yeah.
And even man, I give thanks to this so much in different aspects of my day. But when individuals that are even in my inner circle, whether they know it or not, they start a conversation with me, which I'm like, that's being done because of the way I'm being, right? And I'm a big believer that in order to become, you have to be.
Yeah.
So I take to heart every single thing that I tell people that I do to get me to where I am now. I mentally take action every single day. I have a book that I got off Amazon. I got my mom and myself a copy because we had this wonderful talk like back in March.
Okay.
And it's called the 369 Journal.
Okay.
It's about manifestation, writing down what you want 3 times in the morning, 6 in the afternoon, 9 times at night.
Okay.
And on the other side of the page, it's like, what actions are you going to take today? What are you going to do to show that you love yourself? And you write down
Okay.
these things. And I fucking love this book. But it's like something as simple as that I do for me.
Mhm.
It transpires out there. The more you become what you say you should do, those actions go out in an energetic vibration that brings back more of what
Okay.
you're sending out there. That's my belief. Now that I live the life that I do quietly from the aspect of not shoving it down people's faces, I give them this platform to choose to come to it.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I'm the reason why people are doing what they're doing, but people are more likely, and you said you're
Yeah.
getting to your doctorate in psychology.
Yes.
People tend to start doing the things that they see their friends doing regularly because they see them doing it regularly.
Yeah.
It's like this osmosis aspect of changing their
Mhm.
life. And if you want to change your life, you have to let go of things that you once were.
Mhm.
And so that's just what I try to do now on a regular basis. I just try to find new practices and new things I can do to better myself to become the best version of me. And I try to do them quietly in front of the people I care about the most in hopes that a week, a month, a year from now, they might start adding that implement into their life.
Well, it just really goes back to being authentic. So many people can learn a new skill, learn a new piece of information, but learning the information does nothing for you. It's applying the information. And anyone, go look at working out, can apply new information for a week, 2 weeks. Great. And it'll usually yield some type of result right away, some form of working out. It makes you feel good right away. You did something hard. Great. You find a new thing for, let's just say, SEO. You add that little thing in there and you're like, oh, cool. It's going to help me hear what it's supposed to do. But then all of a sudden you hit that first challenge
and you give up.
Well, anyone does that and everyone does that. It's the people that can push through that and then continue to do it. Then the next challenge that's even bigger. Most people then, if they made it past that first challenge, will then quit there. Then all of a sudden you push through that one. Now all of a sudden you can relate to so many more people because a lot of people have gone that first route, that first 2 weeks, that first month, whatever, because they had some dangerous breakup or whatever, some negative thing happened in their life and they made it to that next barrier, but then they failed there. But when you can get pushed past those barriers and you just keep doing what you know you ought to do, and you get to the point where you're constant and consistent with it, that's when you have so much undeniable proof, not only with yourself, but with others, that you are the expert. And you're now not going to be yielding this advice because I need to make sure that I'm on the right path. No, I am on the right path and been on the right path. So you can either take the information or not. I don't need to give it to you.
So Seth says it on some clip that I came across, some short form content. He says, the only guarantee you'll get from quitting is you won't achieve what you want.
Yeah.
But if you try and you keep trying, you just might get it.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking true. Like he himself looks at his life as like, holy fuck, I can't believe I have all this, and again, it's something that I believe in, which is just having dumb faith in yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you believe in it in a way in which this feeling comes over you, like when you were a kid and you got that new bike, you just felt so fucking great. If you can have that feeling with the belief you have about where you're going, then it just might fucking happen.
Yeah.
But not giving up, keep going through it. It is like, I love how most people use the gym as an example. I think when people get to a certain age in their life, they really do look at it because we have this worry of our shelf life. We don't know the date in which we're going to be done. And so we do all undoubtedly believe that our health allows us to live longer in this physical world that we're experiencing. And that's when all of a sudden this yoga, Pilates, gym, all these activities of keeping your health up there start happening. And it's amazing how at first it's so difficult because it's that routine of like, fuck, I got to get to the gym or I got to go to my class. And then it's like, oh, well, I fucking paid, so I should go. And it's like all these other ideas when it's a simple fact of I should just go do it for a long period of time and I'll achieve what it is I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's changed my life because I can remember since I was like 19, always trying to find like a personal trainer or kickboxing or boxing or CrossFit or any activity. And I would kind of go and stop. And for the past like 2 years now, like I go regularly with one of my buddies, Sparky, and occasionally another friend of ours, Daddy, shows up. But Sparky and I have been going consistently, right? Whenever I'm in town, we'll go together. The successes I've had in it, not a year ago, but where I am now, pushing more. Like I'm a small guy. I'm 185 pounds. I'm 6'1".
Okay.
And the weight that I am now pushing on any given activity is mind blowing to me, that I've gotten myself to that point through consistent discipline of knowing for myself, I need to show up. And that's one of those things I write in my book that says, what actions are you taking today, or what are you going to do to show yourself you love yourself? Is I'm going to show up for me. I'm going to complete the tasks today that I say I'm going to do. Going to the gym is one of them. It puts me in the most amazing mood afterwards.
Well, you said longevity, but it also gives you the quality of life as well, because the state of your health is literally the state of your life. If you're obese and you can't get it up the stairs without huffing and puffing, you're not going to enjoy walking around New York City half as much as somebody that's in shape, because you're going to be like all the time. If you are diabetic because you ate too much crap all the time, you are not going to enjoy the constant, gotta go, put my needle in here, whatever it is. You end up getting cancer, whatever, can't hang out with your kids as long because you can't keep up with them because you're out of shape. It really dictates the quality of your life as well. And when you get to that longevity point, that consistent point, you almost have a switch from going from, I have to do this, to I get to do this. Because especially as you get older, because you then start looking around, that we're not there yet, but let's just say 60 years old, the one that has been consistent with their fitness ever since they were 30, 40, whatever, they're going to be going to the gym saying, I get to squat this much. I get to do all this. And then they look at their counterpart that sits over on the office chair over there, and they can't even get out of their chair. And it's like, I get to go to the gym because I've had this consistency, and now I have this quality of life that people only dream of. Because there's energy levels. When you're constantly moving, you're going to sleep better. You're going to think better. You're going to be able to approach challenges in a mindset of, I can overcome this, because look, I overcome something every day I go to the gym.
Every day. And it is just a challenge is nothing more than a fortification of what you're supposed to become.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me. And I love how you just said that. I have a job, in the private sector that, takes me away from where I rest my head most days.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly traveling. I pretty much live out of a backpack. And it's so funny because every time I go to a different place, I always say, well, the way my job is right now is I still get to go to the gym every day. Like if I'm in this place or that place, I still get to go. So it's amazing how that consistent discipline of whatever activity it is that you do to better yourself, also in time, whether you believe it or not, it'll help change your mindset to that mindset of, I get to do this. And then when I fly back into town and I get to go work out with my buddy, there's multiple reasons why I benefit from that, because I get to work out with a human being that I really do appreciate the time I spend with them. It's one-on-one time that we just talk about life every single, if we go 5 days in a week, every single day we have a conversation the entire workout.
Yeah.
We're not really talking about, we're like, what exercise are we going to go do next? Okay. And then that whole time we're at that machine, we're talking back and forth about life. So there's so many things I benefit from. I benefit from learning how to communicate better with individuals. I get to work out, so it makes myself feel good, think good, and just basically live good. I get to, again, I show someone else that they mean something to me because I'm spending quality time with them. There's so many benefits. And my biggest thing nowadays is my mindset. That's the physical and mental health, or I say the physical and mental abundance that I have is what has literally changed my life for the better.
Yeah, it's all about the mind. That's why I'm getting my PhD in counseling and psychology, because I can't tell you the amount of people that are held back in the gym, yes, but every aspect of life, even marriages, relationships, everything, simply because of their psychology and false narratives that are in their head.
The person that's standing here in front of me is a physical different appearance, but spiritually the same fucking person here. It's crazy. It's literally crazy to me how that's a possibility, because I have said it to guests and I've said it on here before, where I have such a love for psychology. That's a big reason why I do this. This to me is a therapy session as much for me as it is for the other person. I've actually contacted Kaiser University. They won't fucking leave me alone now. I just called to find out how much the courses are, because I know you can do it online, and holy fuck, it's a lot of money.
It's $2,500, $3,000
a month,
a class,
a
class, or whatever.
Yeah, it's fucking mind blowing, right? That's how much fucking education is.
2 months, 3 months, so you're going to be paying about $12,000 or so a semester.
Mind boggling to me. But congrats that you've done it. But it's amazing to me, because I have that same love, that same idea. That's why I read the books that are up behind me, because and it's funny because as a child, I was not a student. I was a student of the street. I wasn't a student of the school. Like I was out there more than I was in there, and I didn't give a fuck about being in there. But now The idea of learning something new and applying it is so very interesting to me. The psychology of people is so interesting to me because 8 point something billion people on this rock, and we're all bouncing around it in some kind of chaotic mess, and trying to understand, like my boy TJ and I, we go for drives on the weekend, and we're always constantly saying like, dude, so many other fucking lives on this highway right now. It's crazy where they're all going. And it's weird because it's the psychology behind everything. Like how and why are people doing this?
Yeah, and it's crazy as well what you were saying about like being able to apply the psychology to things, because and I really enjoy watching an intangible piece of information that I can give to somebody or receive myself that then turns into tangible results. Because on this world, so many people, especially in the health and fitness, I always go back to that. This is who I am. They always want to do more. They want to do more physical something, and they expect more results out of it. Where a lot of times it's not just do more. You're already doing so much. It's actually, you need to think of this differently, which then will create more peace, less stress. Because if you're stressing so hard to do the right thing, that cortisol that's coming from you to do that right thing could be off balancing the benefits of doing said right thing. And it's all about that peace. And that's why Jesus said in John 14:27, peace I give to you. It's a gift that the world cannot give. So do not be troubled or afraid, because it's all about that peace. But how do we get that peace? By having faith in what we're doing. I have so much faith because I know I'm doing what I need to do. You're not going to have that faith if you're not doing what you know you need to do. And whether it be faith in the right thing or the wrong thing, it's still that faith that's going to determine if you get it. You may be doing it in the wrong thing, and then you go get it and then realize you just wasted your time. It's climbing up the ladder, finding your ladder's leaning against the wrong building. You know, it's the guy that the CEO that's like, I'm making this money for my family to keep them secure because I love them so much. And all of a sudden he gets more demands at work, and he goes, I'm doing this for my family because I love them. And he ends up being away from their family so much that they end up getting divorced, and the kids don't even know him and want anything to do with him. It's like, well, you achieved all that you wanted to do. You made the money, you did it for your family, but you lost your family in the process.
You weren't specific enough of what you wanted to do and why you wanted to do it.
And that's where it really comes down to purpose. Why I have Y2 Fitness as my business, my podcast, and really why I'm almost obsessed with that word why. Because if you don't know the purpose behind what you're doing, the likelihood that you're going to continually to do it is very low. And the likelihood that you're going to misuse or not do the right thing when you don't know the purpose behind it is extremely high. And when you know that purpose behind something, it usually then will spark it. You'll give you that oomph to move past that barrier.
It makes the path easier if you know what the purpose is and the why, because then you have a bit more clarity of how to get there.
Yes. Yeah. And so many people don't know their purpose in life.
Well, it's hard because a lot of people might look at this podcast, or a lot of people out there that know me from before and where I am now, be like, oh, it must be nice that you understand your purpose and you're very happy with what you're doing. Yes, but I'm 46 years old. And even though I was on this path, I didn't know it until more like in the past 3 or 4 years. And I've just been fortunate that the more I lean into it, all aspects of what I talk about here, the easier it is, because the more clear the purpose becomes every single day that I keep going after it. To go back on something you said earlier about the worries about, the stresses that one has because they don't know what they're doing and all that. Mark Twain said 90% of the worries will never accumulate to happening. Now, maybe not the right words. The point is, some of us in our earlier part of our journey, or those who are right now still in it, worry so much every day about so many little fucking things that really don't matter and that will never actually happen to them. But they spend all this time and energy going up the ladder, as you said, against the wrong building because they're worrying about these things and not seeing the bigger picture, which would be their actual purpose. And that is why we do what we're doing here, by sharing our stories and expressing to people what it is that we do on a daily basis, so that in hopes that someone out there can flip the switch and be like, fuck, they're so right. I wake up every day worrying and then my day is shit. But they say they wake up thankful to have the day. You know, I can't tell you how many times in a day when someone walks up to me, complete strangers, and it happens so often. And I believe, because of the person I am now, the energy I'm setting out draws these people in, whether they know it or not, to ask me the question like, oh, hey, how are you doing today? My response is always, I had the opportunity to wake up today, so the rest of the day is fucking gravy. And then their response is like, oh my God, you're so right, dude, 100%. And like that energy share of happiness just trickles out there. And I fucking love it.
Oh yeah, I'll be at the grocery store or whatever, and they're like, "How you doing today?" I'm like, "Fantastic." They're like, "Fantastic." Wow, you know, I don't normally get that answer very often.
Yeah.
You know, of course, but like, yeah, it's just going back. Even though you said you're in your 40s and you took that long to your purpose, but you asked a lot of quality questions to get there. And I think Tony Robbins is the one that said this: is the quality of your life is dictated by the quality of the questions you ask.
There's a book here I have not yet read. Right here. I don't awaken the giant
within.
Yes, Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
he's epic. He's been around since like long
yeah.
before.
Oh, yeah, he's almost like the guru per se, a motivational type of person. But like, it really comes down to those questions. And you could either sit there when something bad happens to you and just be like, why me? You know, or start then worrying again. And in the Christian realm, we have this saying that's like, worrying is like praying for the thing that you don't want to happen. But if you can sit there during that failure and say, well, what went wrong? How can I do it better next time? What is a different way to look at this? How would this person do it? Find the person that you admire that's in the realm that you're in, that you're trying to achieve. Be like, well, what would they do? And when you are just lasered into wanting to find that purpose, when you're really in it, and you're not going to say no for an answer, and you keep on asking the questions, you're a lot closer than you probably think.
It is unbelievable that I keep losing 3 of the 5 thoughts that come in my head every time you make a point. The more you keep knocking on the door, the more you keep going forward, and the more you never quit. You are that one more thought, that one more action, that one more belief in opening that door to everything you've ever wanted. That is absolutely like, I never thought of it before like 2-3 years ago. And it's an absolute truth, because when I look at my life every single day, the fact that I'm living everything that I've ever asked for last year, I have now. The year before, I have now. You know, like all that stuff, and like the big mind shift. It takes effort, it takes practice, but it just fucking happens.
Go look at social media. Everyone wants to be an influencer right now. And if you go and ask the people, almost 100% of them, all the ones that have their 100,000, 1 million, whatever it is, hey, how did it happen? They'll be like, well, I was just doing it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, however long. And then there was just this one post.
The one day.
There was just that one day, that one podcast episode, that one YouTube short, whatever, that all of a sudden I got 15 million views on it. I thought it was a dumb one. It's not even the one they thought was going to be the one that made it. And it just goes kaboom. And off that 15 million views, all of a sudden they gain 10,000 followers overnight. And those 10,000 are different from the 10, 20, 30,000 that they had before, because now it's in the niche that they actually are wanting. They're real people looking for the information that they just gave, then have an audience. And those 10,000, you're now going to be getting an additional 3, 4, 5,000 likes off of every post, because they just followed you, and they followed you for a reason. And it just exponentially starts to grow. But it takes that tenacity of when you're not getting any type of traction, because it's authentically you, who you are and what you're doing. And then all of a sudden that boom.
Well, it's like you said off camera, it's a difference between having subs and having fans.
Yes.
And I'll take it one more step further into a gentleman I love so much, Russ. He's a rapper.
Okay.
And in one of his songs, he says he doesn't have fans, he has believers.
Okay.
And it might be his song Believe
Yeah.
or Manifest or something like that. But
Yeah.
it hit me so hard when I heard that, because it's like, yeah, I want lifers. That's
Yeah.
literally what I want. I want my lifers to show up, and I'm not worried. Another person like Gary Vaynerchuk or Alex Hormozy said it, like, when I first started, they were like, you have to be okay with putting up 100 episodes, 1,000
Yeah.
episodes. You have to be okay with doing the same thing day in and day. Or Kevin Hart says it, what the real grind is doing the same thing over and over again, day in and day out, and getting no results different, and still getting up and going to do it.
Yeah, Alex Hormozy, I think, also says something along those exact same lines. He goes, if you haven't put 10,000 hours into it, I don't want to hear how you didn't make it yet.
A stat I love sharing with people when I first got into this, like when I was like only in like season 1, was at that time, it was last summer, it was, if you put up 22 episodes of a podcast, you're in the 5 percentile of podcasters, because the amount of people that fail. I was like, 22 episodes. And when I came across that, I think we'd already had like 16. I was like, that's like, doesn't seem that difficult, and here I am right now, as we're recording today, 58 episodes have been posted. By the time this one goes up, we'll be over 80.
Yeah.
And it is, you just got to have belief in yourself. You just got to keep doing it. So before we wrap this up, let's talk real quick about your podcast, which is Y2 Fitness.
Y2 Fitness, yes.
And that is all the podcast itself is about.
So Y2 Fitness is also my training business, my coaching/counseling business as well. Y2fitness.com, WHYTO Fitness. Basically asking why to everything. The podcast is just an extension almost to my counseling. So my counseling is I help Christians who struggle to diet and work out to actually get healthy and fit. The ones that don't stick to a diet, the ones that know what they need to do and don't do it, because there's usually a big psychology issue behind it. Y2 Fitness explores all the reasons why that affect your fitness, which is absolutely everything, because the term fitness, if you really look it up, it's your ability to overcome the task at hand. Or within biology, it's your ability to reproduce. But that's the term fitness that I use, and we just ask why to it. So it's almost like this podcast, but it's exploring all the different areas within counseling, mental, psychology, business, everything that all play into your fitness capabilities. We have to figure out how to go and find peace within the realm that you're currently in of your life if you really want your fitness to explode and get to those types of goals. So my podcast is all about exploring all the different reasons why your fitness may be failing, or all the reasons why your fitness can, and how it can explode. My purpose in life is to spread the good news of the gospel. That is my ultimate purpose. And for me, to get somebody to find peace, to find the reason why they exist, the reason why they should be doing something at a high level. Because if you don't have that purpose, that's the groundwork, that's the foundation, that's the bedrock that you can start building on. But if you don't have that purpose, you're on sand. And the moment the storm comes in, you're sinking. You're sinking.
Yeah.
You're crumbling.
And it doesn't matter what age you're at.
No.
If you haven't found your purpose yet, there's still time. You can find it. And it's people like us who believe that we are on this earth to simply do that now, is help other people. It's part of my prayers in the morning and my gratitude that I've been able to not just be a person who can be inspired, but who can inspire others.
Yes.
And that's a big thing for me. And I thank God every day that he's allowing me to become his hand in helping others get to their level as well, because I've figured out what my purpose is. I've figured out what it is I need to do between here and there. And I figured out that between that area is to enjoy this, not worry over here. I know
Yeah.
where I'm going, but I'm going to enjoy this. All this, like, I find myself walking around. Even today, I did it. I'm walking around with sushi outside, and I'm looking up in the air, and I'm looking at the trees and everything, and I'm smiling, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm good right now. Like, in
Yeah.
this particular moment, I
Yeah.
am good.
That's amazing, because right before I came here, and why I pushed the podcast back 30
Yeah.
minutes later, is because I needed to get my walk in, because I get walks in. I do about 5 miles right now after meals and stuff like that. And recently I've just been looking at all the Cardinals and Blue Jays that are flying around my house. And I'm like, this is just so amazing. I'm walking in sunny South Florida. And these birds are just chirping, and look at that red and that blue on these birds. It's just so beautiful. God's creation's amazing, and you really can start enjoying the little things when you stop and let go of that perfection attitude and just say, hey, I'm just going to do what I can and be confident that I am doing what I can.
My friend Jennifer Alley, who's been on this show a couple of times, said it. Being part of the 1% club is so important. And what that is just being able to do 1% better today than I did yesterday. That's all you need to try. Just do one more thing better today than you did yesterday. Well, I'm super stoked about this new friendship. So thank you very much, Aaron,
Bradley,
for coming out today.
Thank you so much for having me on the Life Choices podcast.
Appreciate it. For all my lifers out there, as always, thank you very much for coming back each and every week. And we'll see you here next week, Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Life Choices podcast. Much love.
You are now about the journey, Life Choices podcast.